Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I am Misha Ahmed, and welcome to another episode of Rendezvous on CxO Global TV, presented by CxO Global Forum, where we connect like minded people who are ready to share their knowledge and innovative ideas with us. So, today we have our esteemed guest, Mr. Ahsan Rasheed Khan, who is CCO at Khazana Enterprises. Welcome to the show, sir, and thank you so much for your time. Sir, am I audible to you? So, can you hear me? I think there is some technical glitch from our guest side. We'll wait for a while so that he can rejoin. I think our guest has lost the connection, but we hope that he rejoins again.
Gee, my apologies. There was a slight issue at my
No
end.
problem.
Was my
Welcome,
connectivity.
welcome again.
So let's yeah. So let's take it from there. I'm feeling quite embarrassed if this happened, but that's what life is.
No problem, sir. It's the technical things happens everywhere.
Yeah.
So, sir, before getting into our main discussion of this session, I'd like to know, or our viewers would love to hear your personal journey, and how and where did you start your career, and how is it going so far?
Got the question. Yeah. So in there was a break, so I did manage to get the question. So you wanted me to share about my journey and how's it going so far, right?
Yeah. Yeah, right.
So I'll just your viewers, and thank you so much, Misha and Sipsapon, for having me here and giving me this opportunity to, share my story and thoughts on various subjects. So I started off back in 2002. It was a security startup called ParkSearch, which was the first computer emergency response team that we had in Pakistan at that time, and we were just students. So it was a company managed by students out of their garages actually, and we used to just get ready and go to meetings, wearing jackets. Other than that, we were
Right.
just it was a home office at that time. And moving on from there, I joined SI, which was called at that time AIM Technologies. Recently, I heard that one of its founders, Atal Naseem Sheikh, has passed away. He was a visionary man at that time. He was doing the VC ecosystem that you see today. He was probably one of the first VCs investing in buying companies and bringing their back office into Pakistan at that time. And a lot of people in the IT field today who were doing good were part of AMZ Technologies at one point in their career. So AMZ Technologies, I spent some time over there, around 8 months or a year, setting up the security department, and then moved on to NIFT, which is an automated check clearing house owned by the banks, and they were trying to bring in public key infrastructure into Pakistan with VeriSign. So I got that opportunity, went in there, did a few projects with the government, the e-filing of FPR, basically through the use of digital signatures, and same goes for SCCP. Those were one of the, I think we were very leading at that time within Southeast Asia. Nobody had done that. India adopted the same technology and method later on. So that was part of my journey till 2018.
Sir, I can't hear you. I feel like there's this glitch again. Okay, so viewers
So
will wait.
I'm back. Yeah, I'm back now. Can
Yeah.
you? So I was saying that I was in Oracle. I managed Oracle. I stayed at Oracle for a good 8 years, looking after its business in the south of Pakistan and then at the north of Pakistan. And then I moved on to
Right.
VMware, heading the sales and then becoming the country manager and being there for the last 6 years. So I joined Khazana very recently in May, and it's been a really fun-filled and learning experience. So being there, serving 14 years in multinationals and then coming down to or coming up to a partner which has really big ideas on how to transform the FSI industry, the digital identity. So that's what keeping us awake, working on things that we feel will really transform the digital infrastructure in Pakistan and the digital journey overall.
Right. Well, that's great to hear about your journey. It seems a long way. You must have achieved a lot of milestones over the years. Would you like to share some of your achievements with our viewers?
Achievements, so milestones, yes. I mean, they're different at different point in time. You know when I was starting off my career and getting into security sales and marketing for all that sort. Achieving the certification at that time back in 2007, I think it was, or prior to that, was a big thing. So I did my CSSP. But having that said that, the real milestones or things that I remember is the impact that you can provide to your team and to the general landscape where you get to play around. I mean, at NIF, when we did that electronic filing for FBR, that was a overnight change in the country. You could file taxes online. Uh,
Right.
Although it was rudimentary through emails by digitally signing it, and that would be upheld in the court of law, but still it was really big at that time. So as you progress through your career with Oracle, with VMware, one of the things that I take pride in sharing with I was responsible in setting up the four public clouds in Pakistan through the
Right.
VMware platform. So whether that's Jazz Cloud or government cloud, NTC, PTCL cloud, and then Rapid Compute. So all of them, I regard them as my customers and happy ones, obviously. So that is something that I really take pride in. And then changing the landscape, pushing organizations, helping them, adopting new technologies, but also resolving and addressing the business needs at the same time. So that is how it is. The journey is
Uh, right. So, since as you talk about the adaptation of technology, I'd like to know that how do you see the future of cloud technology and its adaptation in Pakistan?
So I think the future is very bright in terms of the cloud's adoption, within Pakistan, and there are many bright spots. If I'll touch the startup ecosystem specifically, I mean, if you look at, I was going through this report. So from 2015 or 16 to the funding rounds that we've had, there have been
Right.
216 companies that have been funded up till now, and 61 in the last year with $300 million plus of investments coming in. So these are all cloud native companies. These are all born in the cloud. The infrastructure is in the cloud. Everything is there. They really, other than if there's a regulatory requirement and they have to keep something in a locally hosted cloud, they do. Otherwise, they're all, the Koreans and the Bikers of the world. They're up in the cloud. So the future is really bright in terms of for the startups. And also, we now see a very good push from the state bank towards the FSI industry and the fintechs that they are opening up to a certain degree of hosting at a local cloud in Pakistan. That's what we at Khazana also take pride in. Basically, so we are a cloud services company, then moving into starting off a trade services banking platform for the FSI industry, and then moving to digital IT services with the company acquisition that we are about to complete. So I mean, it's all cloud for us, and that's the reason that Khazana Enterprises, came into being, and our chairman invested during the COVID time in Pakistan, because we see the potential of cloud in Pakistan going forward, and not only for Pakistan, for tertiary areas, finance science and market. I mean, first you also obviously have to serve Pakistan as a whole, and then you can move there also. But the future is very, very bright. Startups की आप investments देख लें, startups के numbers देख लें, and then in the FSI space, insurance, everybody, I mean, everybody and anybody is moving to the cloud, basically. Those who can't or who are not are under tremendous pressure to ease up the regulatory frameworks in order for them to move towards cloud journey in the next 3 to 5 years. I mean, there's no doubt. There's no coming back to the old ways, basically. It's cloud all the way.
Right, very well said, sir, and good to hear that from you. Sir, I'd like to touch the grounds of sales now, and I'd like to know some of your strategies that you opt, while acquiring these potential customers. How do you handle that?
So I mean, it's all about being customer centric. Your sales strategies have to be customer centric, customer focused, and then obviously we have to prepare, and prepare. You cannot. So you have to be customer centric. By that I mean, if any vertical that you are targeting or your sales team is engaged in, let's say you're engaged in FSI or an airline industry, you have to understand deeper about that industry itself. What are the pains globally? What is happening? What are the trends? How is it impacting it in Pakistan? What are the issues that the business side is facing at that particular organization, and what are the challenges that the IT is trying to resolve? And that where in between you find your sweet spot, with the solutions that you can bring in that add real value. Because if there's no real value, you will not get that sale. Yes, building relationships right across all the bottom up or top down approach both can work. So you have to have relationships also, right from bottom to top, but you have to really understand the problem and be customer centric, customer focused, and have empathy for the customer. In
Right.
COVID, while at VMware we saw a lot of push, or even when nowadays, we see a lot of this uncertainty to the dollar parity to the rupee. So
Right.
customers have limited budgets that they have already budgeted a year back, especially if they're government customers. So you really have to find out creative solutions how to resolve those issues for them while closing that particular sale, basically. So be customer focused, customer centricity, prepare, and empathy. All these are needed.
Right, so I agree to that with you. I'd like to know further that your opinion on how do you think that these how much it's important for an organization to have a well connected marketing and sales department through which they can accelerate to growth.
So I think, I mean, we can never be, not ask for, let's say, it just has to be more connections and more connections, and the whole sales team and department has to be, they have to have multiple presences. In terms of you need to use, the latest platforms that are available to you. Let's say it's LinkedIn, it's Twitter. So I in my days and still do, I follow my customers around on Twitter and LinkedIn and other social, areas. I'm not actually stalking them, but I want to know what they're thinking. What is
Right.
what is the thought process? Where a particular company is headed? You have to look at the financial statements. I mean, we even went on these analyst calls with the company is releasing its financials, and it invites analysts to look at it. So you have to do all of that to understand, you know, what the areas are, and then you have to be connected. So whether that's through LinkedIn to their leadership and to the middle managers, their technical teams, and see how what are their interests, what are they doing, what companies they are following. Let's say if they want to implement a technology or they're looking at a solution, what are those top three solution providers in their mind that they're following? So you have to keep track of everything basically, and then position yourself. So the sales team has to be really connected. And आजकल तो वो influencers का एक अलग so I see a lot of startups using influencers also to manage their sales basically. So it's all about connections, connections, connections.
Right. So further, I'd like to know your perception on how the rise of these digital platforms they can contribute for more sales and these the more sales through these channels, the sales channels particularly.
So I mean, I'll give you an example of, let's say you take example
Sure.
LinkedIn. I mean, I think every professional in Pakistan they use. I mean, LinkedIn is heavily used. So and now LinkedIn has also changed itself into a learning platform also, which is very good. That they, you can also learn on that platform apart from reaching out. So LinkedIn is a platform that I have in my career have used. When you directly had to get to a board member or or to a president of a particular bank. You couldn't. I mean, LinkedIn really cuts all that red tape and lets you direct access. So and I'm a true believer in that. So I've used LinkedIn to really get access to really top CXOs. And then other than that, the CXO Global Forum, what you guys are doing. So this is another extension, where you get to meet a lot of customers, prospects, and then basic network. So you worth your network, like Athar said once, basically. So you have to have keep on networking, and then so LinkedIn is one of those platforms that I've used personally, and I look forward to it. Twitter is more of what a person is thinking, so you really can't take that into account. But LinkedIn definitely,
Right.
that is an official platform now to reach out. And then yeah, events like what CxO organizes, I think that's a very good. And then you have for 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 sharing information, you've got these multiple WhatsApp groups for CxO, so that really helps.
Right. Sir, I'd like to know that, since your organization is data centric, so I'd like to know that how do you or which measures you take to, secure the data of your customers.
Yeah, so I mean, we've got these policies and policy security policies, then your data privacy policies, which let's say if you're handling customer data, what you can have on that particular laptop, what you can't, and then you've got these specialized softwares which provide these capabilities of DLP capabilities, whereby so customer data remains secure, whether that's on your laptop and if you're taking that home. So it's all about having the policies and then implementing those through various software tools, and then monitoring and audit. It's a complete cycle which goes on and on. So being a customer centric company, being a cloud services company, so we host or we have customer data. It has to be encrypted and encrypted at rest, encrypted at transit. We take all of those measures basically to secure the customer data.
Which I think is very much required nowadays. So,
Yeah, with what is happening, yes, you really can't. You have to double down on security. You really can't have a backseat there. Basically,
yeah,
it
yeah,
keeps you on
right.
toes.
Yeah, you're truly right, sir. Sir, I'd like to know your thoughts on this or local IT market. Where do you see it, let's say, in coming 5 to 10 years?
I mean, I see, major growth. So I'll give you an example. Like we, Khazana itself, we are hiring around 1,200 people across the country right now for one project that we are doing with the government of Pakistan. And
Right.
so because it's near to its launch, so I can't mention or can't share divulge more details. So I mean, we are hiring IT savvy 1,200 resources that we as a company need for one project. So just imagine next 5 to 10 years, basically, there'll be a huge explosion. The 216 companies that I shared, if you just imagine, 10 or 20 people working in each of those companies, that value of the number of resources that those companies will hire, and those will be all cloud native resources, basically. So
Right.
I see a huge growth, huge potential. I mean, these are words that are used often, but this is the time for Pakistan, basically, where we just have to learn and reskill our youth and our graduates that are coming out with skills from AWS, from Azure, with Google Cloud, and you'll see a marked difference basically. So the next 5 to 10 years is really should be the golden period for IT in terms of startup ecosystem development, solutions coming up to problems, they are localized, and then the whole shift of the industry, which is not on cloud at the moment, but it will be moving to the cloud. So the next 5 to 10 years are very very progressive for Pakistan IT.
Right. Thanks for your kind words on that. So before ending our session, I'd like to take our conversation to a lighter note where I'd like to know that how do you manage your your work life with along with your life where you just don't want to work and how do you spend your leisure time?
So I mean, you have to work, but obviously family comes first. So I've got three children and a lovely wife. So my wife, obviously, she's my lifeline in supporting everything that I do. And but my so what I do is I keep the weekends are strictly this. There should not be any work, and then when I come home, I usually try not to work, spend my time with my kids, and then you have to build your routine actually, and you have to build around their timetable or their routine as well. So in the morning, I make sure that I drop them to school, and then in the evening, spend time with them, have dinner with them at all costs, not to skip that, and even at the expense of business meetings, because business meetings can always wait, but your family comes first, and that's your
Right.
root basically where you are. And then on the weekends, spend as much time as they can. So we play Call of Duty. At my sons are 8 and 6. They're very good players of Call of Duty games. So I played with them. To spend time. So they get that feeling that I'm playing with them actually, whether that's a physical activity or something, let's say computer game, whether that's taken or something. So I make sure that I'm there always for them basically, and that's how life is basically. Your family comes first. Yes, work is important, but that's not your life.
Very well said. So, with that, can you please share your, your thoughts about CXO Global Forum? How do you see it, and how it has, how do you see it's working and
Yeah, so I mean, it's remarkable the growth that Kanwal has taken CXO platform to and propelled its growth in the last 2 years or so, right from initially being an idea, then conceiving, then bringing all the CXOs together. So it wasn't there. So that's what I'm saying. I mean, so now I think half of my network was from LinkedIn, but they all. So what Kamal did was, or the CXO firm did was that they brought everybody together in a closed loop, where through their WhatsApp groups, their own meetups that they organize, and it gives you a chance to meet everybody at the same level, hang out. I think it's never been done before, and I think this is the way forward for Pakistan. That for the CXO space, particularly, that more of these companies, I think you'll see in the next 5 to 10 years that will be there. Basically, I think Nutshell is there for doing global events and bring those traction to Pakistan, and Kamal is the other person, CXO, who's taking the Pakistani CXOs and promoting them outside of Pakistan as well. So I think it's a great job that you guys are doing, basically.
Thank you so much for your kind words, sir. Well, ladies and gentlemen, with that our great discussion with Mr. Ahsan Rasheed, we'd like to end up here, and we'd like to thank once again. Thank you so much for your time, sir.
And thank you, and my apologies for the connectivity issues. We'll get them
No
sorted
problem.
for any next meetup. So
No,
my apologies sincerely to your viewers. And thank you
no
for
problem.
having me. Take care.
Thank you so much, sir. Till then, next our session. Allah Hafiz.
Hafiz.